Our journey begins long before Italy was a single nation, in a time when the very land we walk on was a mosaic of powerful city-states, kingdoms, and empires. To understand the Lira, we must first look at the coins that came before it. Imagine the bustling markets of ancient Rome. Here, the dominant coin was the denarius. This small silver coin was the backbone of the Roman economy for centuries, used to pay soldiers, buy goods, and fund the construction of magnificent structures. Its influence was so profound that its name echoed through history, shaping the word for money, denaro, in modern Italian. The denarius was more than just currency. It was a symbol of Roman power, carrying the portrait of the emperor across the vast empire, a small piece of Rome in the palm of your hand. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Italy became a patchwork of different powers, and each minted its own currency. This created a complex and often confusing monetary landscape. In the vibrant city-state of Florence during the Renaissance, a new and beautiful gold coin emerged, the fiorino, or the florin. First minted in 1252, it was made of pure gold and featured the image of Saint John the Baptist on one side and the city's emblem, the lily, or giglio, on the other. The florin quickly became a trusted currency across Europe, a testament to Florence's incredible wealth and influence in banking and trade. It set a standard for quality and beauty that would inspire coin makers for generations to come. Meanwhile, another great maritime republic, Venice, was creating its own legendary coin. This was the Venetian ducato, or ducat. Like the florin, it was a gold coin of exceptional purity and stable value. The ducat depicted the Doge of Venice kneeling before Saint Mark, the city's patron saint. For over 500 years, the ducat was the currency of international trade, especially in the Mediterranean. Traders from the east and west trusted its value, making it a cornerstone of Venice's commercial empire. These coins, along with many others from city-states like Genoa and Milan, were the economic lifeblood of the Italian peninsula, each telling a story of local pride, power, and artistic achievement. These ancient and medieval coins created a rich but fragmented monetary heritage. A merchant traveling from Venice to Florence and then on to Rome would have to exchange different types of money, each with its own weight and value. This complexity was a barrier to trade and a reflection of the political divisions of the time. The Roman denarius established the idea of a unified currency for a vast territory, while the florin and ducat set a high standard for artistry and reliability. These powerful predecessors laid the groundwork for what was to come. They were the ancestors of the Lira, holding the memory of Italy's glorious and divided past, waiting for a new chapter in which a single currency would finally unite the nation. The 19th century was a time of great change in Europe, a period of revolutions and unification. On the Italian peninsula, a powerful movement known as the Risorgimento was underway, driven by the dream of creating a single, united Italian nation. For decades, patriots, intellectuals, and soldiers fought to overcome the divisions that had separated the land for centuries. Finally, in 1861, their dream became a reality with the proclamation of the Kingdom of Italy. The new nation had a king, a flag, and a government, but it was missing a crucial element of national identity and economic stability: a single unified currency. A country cannot truly be one if its people use different money in different regions. Before unification, the Italian peninsula was a jumble of currencies. The Kingdom of Sardinia used the Sardinian lira, the Grand Duchy of Tuscany had its florin, and the Papal States used the scudo. This system was impractical for a modern nation. The new Italian government understood that to build a strong economy and foster a sense of national unity, it needed to replace this confusing mix with one official currency. The decision was made to adopt the lira, a name derived from the Latin word libra, meaning pound, which was a unit of weight used by Charlemagne centuries earlier. This choice connected the new currency to a long European tradition. The creation of the Italian lira was not just a national project, it was also an international one. In 1865, Italy joined the Latin Monetary Union, a group that included France, Belgium, and Switzerland. This agreement standardized the weight and silver content of the coins of its member nations. The Italian lira, the French franc, the Belgian franc, and the Swiss franc were all made to be equal in value. This meant that a person could travel from Paris to Rome to Geneva and use their country's coins without needing to exchange them. This was a remarkable step towards economic integration in Europe, a precursor to the modern idea of a shared currency. And so, on August 24, 1862, the Italian lira was officially born. The law established the lira as the sole legal tender for the entire kingdom, defining its value in terms of both silver and gold. This bimetallic standard was intended to provide stability and confidence in the new money. The introduction of the lira was a profoundly symbolic act. It was a declaration that the old divisions were gone and that all Italians, from the Alps to Sicily, were now part of the same economic family. Every time a person held a new lira coin, they were holding a small piece of their newly formed country, a tangible symbol of unity and a shared future. With the new currency established, the next step was to design and mint the coins that would circulate throughout the kingdom. These first lira coins were more than just pieces of metal for buying goods. They were messengers of the new Italian state. The designs had to be carefully chosen to represent the authority of the monarchy and the pride of the unified nation. The task fell to the Royal Mint, which began producing coins that would soon become familiar to every Italian. The materials used were traditional: bronze for the small denominations, silver for the middle values like the 1, 2, and 5 lire coins, and gold for the larger denominations such as the 20 lire coin. The most prominent feature on the first Italian lira coins was the portrait of the king. The first king of a united Italy was Vittorio Emanuele II, and his profile, with its distinctive large mustache, graced the front, or obverse, of the coins. This was a powerful statement. For centuries, coins had borne the images of local dukes, popes, or foreign rulers. Now, for the first time, a single Italian monarch's face was on the money used by everyone from Turin to Naples. His image was a constant reminder of the central authority that had brought the nation together. The inscription around his portrait read, Vittorio Emanuele II Re d'Italia, meaning Victor Emmanuel II King of Italy, leaving no doubt about the new political reality. The reverse side of the coins was just as significant. It featured the coat of arms of the House of Savoy, the royal dynasty of the new kingdom. The shield, with its simple cross, was surrounded by the collar of the Annunciation, the highest order of chivalry of the Savoy family. This emblem was framed by laurel and oak branches, ancient Roman symbols of glory and strength. Displaying the Savoy coat of arms so prominently was a way of cementing the dynasty's rule over the entire peninsula. It was a visual declaration that the destiny of Italy was now intertwined with the destiny of its royal family. Every transaction, no matter how small, reinforced this connection between the people and the monarchy. These early designs were elegant, classical, and deeply conservative, reflecting the formal style of the 19th century. They were created by skilled engravers like Giuseppe Ferraris, who aimed for a look of stability and permanence. The coins were meant to inspire trust and project an image of a serious, well-ordered nation. From the noble portrait of the king to the regal coat of arms, every element was designed to convey legitimacy and authority. As these coins passed from hand to hand, they not only facilitated commerce, but also helped to forge a new national identity, slowly but surely turning a collection of diverse peoples into a unified Italian citizenry. The early 20th century brought immense challenges that would test the young Italian nation and its currency. The optimistic era in which the lira was born gave way to a period of instability, culminating in the cataclysm of World War I. When Italy entered the war in 1915, the national economy was placed under enormous strain. The government had to finance the immense cost of mobilizing an army and producing weapons. To do this, it began printing vast amounts of paper money, or bankernote. This massive increase in the money supply, without a corresponding increase in the production of goods, led to a predictable and painful outcome: severe inflation. The lira began to lose its value at a frightening pace. As the war raged on, precious metals like silver and gold became critically important for the war effort. The government suspended the convertibility of paper money into gold and silver, meaning people could no longer exchange their banknotes for precious metal coins. Silver coins quickly disappeared from circulation as people hoarded them, knowing they were worth more as metal than their face value. To replace them, the government introduced new coins made from cheaper materials. Nickel was used to mint the 1 and 2 Lira coins, a clear sign of the economic hardship the country was facing. Paper money was even issued for very small denominations, something that had been unthinkable just a few years earlier. The end of the war in 1918 did not bring an end to the economic chaos. Italy was victorious, but the country was left with huge debts and a severely weakened economy. The lira's value continued to plummet on international markets. Before the war, it took about 5 lire to equal $1. By the early 1920s, it took over 20. This devaluation impoverished many Italians, especially those with fixed incomes or savings. The social and political unrest that followed created a fertile ground for extremist movements. The economic crisis was a key factor in the rise of Benito Mussolini and his fascist party, who promised to restore order, national pride, and the value of the lira. In these difficult years, the lira became a symbol of the nation's struggles. Its declining value mirrored the loss of confidence and stability in the country. The shift from beautiful silver coins to base metal ones and flimsy paper notes was a tangible reflection of Italy's economic decline. The promise of the Risorgimento, a strong, prosperous, and united Italy, seemed to be fading. The lira, which had been created as a symbol of unity and strength, was now a daily reminder of the immense challenges facing the nation. It was a currency under siege, waiting for a strong hand to rescue it, a role the fascist regime would eagerly claim to fulfill. When Benito Mussolini came to power in 1922, he understood that, well, controlling the economy and shaping public perception were absolutely essential to consolidating his rule. The lira, as a symbol of the nation's economic health and identity, became a powerful tool for fascist propaganda. One of Mussolini's primary goals was to restore the lira's value and project an image of strength and stability. In 1926, he famously declared his intention to revalue the currency to a rate of 90 lire to the British pound, a policy known as Quota 90. This was more a matter of national prestige than sound economics, but it really demonstrated the regime's focus on using the currency as a political instrument. The designs of the coins themselves were dramatically changed to reflect fascist ideology. The portrait of the king, Vittorio Emanuele III, remained on the obverse, since Mussolini's power was technically derived from the monarchy. However, the reverse side of the coins was transformed into a canvas for fascist symbols. The traditional Savoy coat of arms was now flanked by a fascio littorio, or fasces. This ancient Roman symbol, a bundle of rods tied around an axe, represented collective power and authority and was the central emblem of the fascist party. By placing it on every coin, the regime visually equated the state of Italy with the fascist movement itself. New coin series were introduced that glorified Italy's Roman past and the regime's ambitions. A famous example is the Empire series of coins issued after the conquest of Ethiopia in 1936. These coins featured an eagle, another powerful Roman symbol, standing with its wings spread over the fasces. The inscriptions celebrated Italy's newfound status as an empire. The materials also changed, reflecting the regime's push for economic self-sufficiency, or autarkia. Coins were made from new alloys like acmonital, acciaio monetario italiano, or Italian monetary steel, a type of stainless steel, because precious metals and nickel were needed for military purposes. These steel coins had a modern industrial feel, intended to project an image of a dynamic and forward-looking state. Every detail on these coins was a message. The powerful imagery, the choice of materials, and the celebratory inscriptions all served to reinforce the regime's narrative of national rebirth and imperial destiny. The lira was no longer just a neutral medium of exchange. It had become an active participant in the political project of fascism. It was a daily reminder to every Italian of the regime's power and its vision for the nation. As people used these coins to buy bread or pay for services, they were constantly exposed to the symbols of Mussolini's rule. In this way, the humble lira was transformed from a simple economic tool into a pervasive instrument of propaganda. The outbreak of World War II in 1939 and Italy's entry in 1940 plunged the lira into its darkest period. The economic strains of the conflict were far greater than those of World War I. The fascist regime's push for autarky had not prepared Italy for a prolonged, large-scale war. The economy buckled under the pressure, and the government once again resorted to printing money on a massive scale to fund the war effort. This led to hyperinflation, a situation where the value of the lira collapsed at an astonishing rate. Prices for everyday goods skyrocketed, and people's life savings were wiped out almost overnight. The lira became virtually worthless. The situation became even more chaotic after 1943. Following the Allied invasion of Sicily, the fascist regime fell, and Italy was split in two. In the south, the Allies established a new government under the king, and they introduced their own currency, the lira, or Allied military lira. These were banknotes printed by the United States and Great Britain for use in the occupied territories. They were designed to be simple and functional, a temporary currency to stabilize the economy in the liberated areas. The existence of the lira was a stark symbol of Italy's loss of sovereignty, a clear sign that the nation's economic destiny was now in the hands of foreign powers. Meanwhile, in the north, Mussolini established the Italian Social Republic, a puppet state controlled by Nazi Germany. This rump state continued to issue its own lira, but its value was almost non-existent. The economy in the north was in a state of total collapse, plagued by bombings, shortages, and partisan warfare. In this fractured landscape, there were effectively multiple versions of the lira circulating simultaneously. The old royal lira, the new lira in the south, and the nearly worthless lira of the Social Republic in the north. This monetary chaos reflected the deep political and military division of the country. For ordinary Italians, life was a daily struggle for survival, where a loaf of bread could cost thousands of lire. By the end of the war in 1945, Italy was devastated, and its currency was in ruins. The lira had lost over 99% of its pre-war value. The beautiful silver coins of the past were a distant memory, replaced by worthless paper and cheap metal tokens. The hyperinflation of the war years had destroyed the middle class and created widespread poverty. The lira, which had been born as a symbol of national unity, had ended up mirroring the nation's tragic division and defeat. The task of rebuilding Italy would also require the task of rebuilding its currency, giving it a new life and restoring the faith of the Italian people in their money. After the devastation of World War II, Italy faced the monumental task of rebuilding. In 1946, a historic referendum was held, and the Italian people voted to abolish the monarchy and establish a republic. This political rebirth required a new currency that would reflect the values of the new democratic state. The old coins, with their royal portraits and fascist symbols, were symbols of a past that Italy wanted to leave behind. The new coins of the Italian Republic would be different. They would celebrate the genius of the Italian people, their work, their culture, and their natural heritage, rather than rulers or political ideologies. The first coins of the Republic were made from a new lightweight aluminum alloy called Italma. This was a practical choice, as the material was cheap and abundant, but it also gave the coins a modern, modest feel that suited the post-war era. The designs were simple, elegant, and full of democratic symbolism. For example, the 1 lira coin featured a cornucopia, the ancient symbol of abundance, expressing a hope for future prosperity. The 10 lire coin depicted an olive branch and a plough, symbols of peace and labor, the foundations upon which the new republic would be built. These were humble, yet powerful images that resonated with the aspirations of ordinary Italians. Two of the most beloved and iconic coins of this era were the 50 lire and the 100 lire coins. The 50 lire coin, introduced in 1954, was nicknamed Vulcano. It showed the head of a woman representing Italy on one side, and on the other, the powerful figure of the god Vulcan forging a tool at his anvil. This design celebrated Italy's industrial strength and the hard work of its people. The 100 lire coin, first minted in 1955, was known as the Minerva. It featured a beautiful profile of the goddess Minerva on the obverse and an olive tree on the reverse. Minerva, the goddess of wisdom and craftsmanship, represented Italy's rich cultural and artistic heritage, while the olive tree symbolized peace and the nation's connection to its land. These coins became a part of daily life for generations of Italians. They were used to buy a coffee, a newspaper, or to make a phone call from a public telephone booth. The designs were so successful and popular that they remained almost unchanged for over 40 years. They were works of art in miniature, created by talented engravers like Giuseppe Romagnoli and Pietro Giampaoli. Unlike the coins of the past, which glorified power and conquest, the coins of the Republic celebrated the everyday virtues of work, wisdom, and peace. They were a perfect reflection of the new democratic and industrious spirit of post-war Italy, and they remain a fond memory for millions. As the 20th century drew to a close, a new vision for Europe began to take shape: a closer union with a single, shared currency. Italy, as one of the founding members of the European Economic Community, was at the forefront of this historic project. The idea of a single currency was not entirely new. The Latin monetary union of the 19th century had been an early experiment. But the new project, which would lead to the creation of the euro, was far more ambitious. For Italy, joining the single currency was seen as a way to achieve greater economic stability, control inflation, and solidify its place at the heart of Europe. The journey required years of economic reforms to meet the strict criteria for entry. The transition from the lira to the euro was a carefully planned, multi-stage process. On January 1st, 1999, the euro officially became Italy's currency, but only for electronic transactions and accounting purposes. The lira remained in circulation for daily cash transactions, but its value was now permanently fixed to the euro at a rate of 1,936.27 lire to 1 euro. For the next 3 years, Italians lived in a period of dual currency. Prices in shops were displayed in both lire and euros, and people began to familiarize themselves with the new values. This gradual approach was designed to make the final changeover as smooth as possible and to help citizens adapt to the new monetary scale. The final physical changeover began on January 1st, 2002. On that day, new euro banknotes and coins became available from banks and cash machines across Italy and 11 other European countries. For a 2-month period, both the lira and the euro were accepted as legal tender. This was a strange and memorable time. People's wallets were filled with a mix of old lire and new euros. It was a period of learning and adjustment, as everyone had to get used to the new coins and notes and the different values they represented. Many people used special euro converter calculators to help them with the mental arithmetic of switching from thousands of lire to single-digit euros. The final farewell to the lira came on March 1st, 2002. From that day on, the lira was no longer legal tender and could not be used for purchases. The currency that had been with Italians for 140 years, through unification, 2 world wars, and the birth of a republic, had officially retired. For 10 years, Italians could still exchange their old lira banknotes and coins for euros at the Bank of Italy. But after 2012, they became purely historical artifacts. The transition was a huge logistical success, but for many, it was also a moment of nostalgia and a little bit of sadness. The lira was gone, and with it, a tangible piece of Italian history had passed into